Merry Christmas, everyone. Today we're joined by my brother, Black Lantern Dave. Merry Christmas. And my sister, Weaver Girl.
Hi.
This last summer, we had to say goodbye to our father, who lost his battle with cancer. And in his memory, we are going to be looking at some of his favorite Christmas movies. Let's start things off with the first Christmas special he ever recorded on home VHS, which would, in turn, be the first Christmas special to share with us kids. A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Now, I've got to point out that despite the fact that our father was a stereotypically underpaid teacher since the 70s, he always had to have the latest tech. Even before we were born, he was recording movies and television on his very own video cassette recorder.
The future is now.
Charlie Brown's first animated outing has the titular Mr. Brown feeling depressed at this most festive season of the year, and he's struggling to find some kind of deeper meaning to it. Luckily, the wise innocence, or innocent wisdom, of Charlie Brown's best friend Linus helps him remind the Peanuts gang what the holiday is all about.
And there were in the same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night, and lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them. And the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Well said, little man.
Doesn't he believe that a giant pumpkin gives presents to kids on Halloween?
Shh. There's something very captivating in this special and its simplicity. It came from a straightforward little gag-a-day comic strip, and this special embraces that that's all that it needs to be. Seeing these other kids give Charlie Brown a Merry Christmas when they otherwise wouldn't give him the time of day, it just hits you in the right place. So much so that our dad would often get irked if we poked fun at it the same way that we would other movies.
Of all of the holiday specials in the world, this one's the Charlie Browniest.
One movie that is open for a little friendly riffing is the Frank Capra classic, It's a Wonderful Life.
I want a big one!
That's what she said. Jimmy Stewart plays George Bailey, a man with aspirations that are too big for the one-horse town in which he is perpetually stuck, and it grinds him down until he gets to the point where he contemplates suicide. Luckily, his guardian angel shows up and grants him the unique chance to see what the world would be like without him. We all remember this movie for the Twilight Zone-esque third act where George is losing his mind in this alternate reality where nobody he knows recognizes him. And sure, it takes a little while to get there, but man, what a mind blow it is when we finally see it. He now appreciates the wonderful life he had all along, and he sees how appreciated he is in kind. This movie is hardly the Christmassiest of Christmas movies, but you really feel it when everyone starts piling on the love for George at the end.
To my big brother George, the richest man in town. That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
And now it's impossible for me to look at the scene without thinking of our dad's wake. So many people showing up to see him off, and everyone is just so happy to be celebrating his life one last time.
You can't just buy people, Mr. Potter. Well, you know what you are? You're a little bitch. That's right, you're a bitch, and I'd bet you'd like to suck it, wouldn't you?
Let's face it, there is a lot of mindless, ridiculous bullcrap that might be entertaining for kids, but we need to remember the sacrifice that parents endure by watching it with them. Hell, that's a big reason why I'm so harsh on kids' media in my reviews. We need more movies that kids and their parents can enjoy. When we were old enough to start watching it, one thing that we bonded with our dad over was South Park, and their Christmas specials were certainly no exception.
I think it's ironic that Dad was not okay with Frosty the Snowman whatsoever, but that he is totally in love with Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh.
Yeah. We love our dad for being the authority figure and the role model that we needed, but the South Park Christmas specials are something that we were able to share as friends. Not everybody gets to have that with their father.
And of course, it's always fun to sing Merry F***ing Christmas to our mother's humiliation.
Oh, absolutely. On the flip side of the crude, offensive humor of South Park, we have The Snowman, a quiet, silent short film about a little boy, more specifically, a young David Bowie in the version that we recorded, who builds a snowman that comes to life, takes him to visit Father Christmas, and then dies.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
We could joke about how this movie's sweet and charming tone comes to a screeching halt with that downer of an ending until the cows come home, but really, this movie is just too pretty for the audience to care. How many animated films put this much effort into making every frame a fully rendered illustration, and with colored pencils of all media? And it's one of those movies that you can put on and listen to the soundtrack, something our dad greatly appreciated while he was in the kitchen and making Christmas dinner.
Speaking of Dad's cooking, what do you get when you combine ham, cream cheese, and yellow chilies in between two tortillas like a quesadilla? Sweat socks!
Why do we call them sweat socks?
Who knows, who cares, they're delicious.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree.
Our dad was a really big fan of the Muppets, and country musician John Denver, so their special John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together, might as well have been tailor-made just for him.
You mean like the Muppets Wizard of Oz should have been tailor-made for you?
Yes, exactly. There isn't any real story to speak of here, it's just the Muppets putting on a Christmas variety show with John Denver like this was an episode of The Muppet Show. It even has plenty of behind-the-scenes antics, like this bit with Denver and Miss Piggy.
One woman cannot own you. She must share you with the rest of us, just as you must share your show with the rest of us.
I understand.
My God, that is amazing! Frank Oz ad-libs that bit about Piggy spitting her hair out of her face. Denver was not expecting it and almost loses it, and Oz just nods to the camera as if to say, "No, it's good, roll with it," giving Denver a chance to regain his composure, and they continue on with the scene like nothing happened. Later, we see Denver sharing a moment with Kermit, and they start reminiscing about what Christmas means to them.
But you know what the really nice thing about Christmas is? Oh, it's the one time of year when everyone seems to be part of everyone's family. Everyone's smiling at you, holding out a hand to shake yours, making you feel you belong wherever you are. I guess that's what Christmas is really all about.
Is anybody else feeling disgusted that never got an official release?
Make it happen, Disney. Another Muppets Christmas special that must be mentioned is Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. It tells the story of an impoverished young otter and his ma struggling to give each other a Merry Christmas, which is proving more difficult than usual after the recent passing of his pa. Of course, it's as heartfelt as most of anything else the Muppets put their name to, but the songs in particular are what really make this special, including this song that happened to be one of our dad's favorites.
When the mountain touches the valley, all the clouds are taught to fly. Thus our souls shall leave this land most peacefully. Though our minds be filled with questions, in our hearts we'll understand when the river meets the sea.
I'm not crying, you're crying, shut up!
It's alright, we all are. By the way, screw you, Jerry Nelson, for singing this song at Jim Henson's memorial service. Yes, it was perfect, but it's still not cool.
One thing I love about this movie is the blooper reel they included on the DVD. How many times can a drum possibly roll the wrong way?
Sweet Jesus! Good Lord, you see that? Did you see that? Did you see?
Anyway, time to move on to everyone's favorite Muppet holiday movie, The Muppet Christmas Carol. This is often regarded as the best film adaptation of the Dickens classic, largely in part because of Gonzo playing narrator as Dickens himself, allowing for a lot of the original prose to be preserved. And while it maintains a lot of the book's original grim tone, it still somehow leaves room for the Muppets to be the Muppets, singing, dancing, and telling jokes where you really wouldn't think they'd be able to.
It does, doesn't it?
I actually have my own little story. On the night that Dad passed, we had decided that we were going to put on Christmas movies to sort of help celebrate our father on his last night. And there was a moment where he started to panic, I think. He started reaching out, looking for something to hold on to, something to anchor him. He couldn't open his eyes, but he just had a look of worry on his face. But the moment that the music played, little intro music to A Muppet Christmas Carol, he stopped, and his breathing regulated again, and he relaxed back into his chair, and he just got the smallest smile, and it really felt like he was kind of seeing the scenes from the movie, and it gave him peace. And that was something that was really important to me to see at the moment, and that's always going to stick with me every time I see this movie.
Yeah, this movie may be dedicated to Jim Henson and Richard Hunt, but I'm just going to squeeze B.K. Thomas in there too, if you don't mind.
By the way, thank you Disney Plus for finally restoring When Love Has Gone into the movie. How could they even cut that out in the first place?
If Muppet Christmas Carol is the best adaptation of the story, a really close second would be the 1951 movie Scrooge, starring Alistair Sim. The horror film enthusiast in me loves a nice, scary Christmas movie, and this one was presented as a legitimate Christmas horror film. It was also fun hearing my dad talk about how this version frightened him when he saw it as a kid. Everything that we've been discussing so far have really been movies that the entire family have enjoyed, but this one really feels more like just the two of us movie. Just me and my dad.
Yeah, speaking of scary movies, I'm sorry Dad never really got into Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. He always thought that Jack Skellington looked like a baseball. Wrapping up this Christmas Carol kick, we have Blackadder's Christmas Carol. Just a quick sum up for those unfamiliar with the character. Rowan, Mr. Bean Atkinson, plays a snarky, sarcastic Blackadder through various points in history, making a farce out of whatever's going on at the time. In Blackadder's Christmas Carol, we see a subversion of both its own premise and that of the original story, as Ebenezer Blackadder, the kindest and loveliest man in all England, is taken advantage of by everyone around him because of his unwavering sense of charity.
Ah, Mrs. Scratchit, greetings to you on this merry Yuletide Eve.
Oh, Mr. Blackadder! Can I be merry when we are so poor we shall have nothing to eat on Christmas Day, except what Grandfather can scrape from under his big toenails?
But there must be something we can do. Ah, that box of matches in your basket is just the thing I need. How much did they cost?
£1 a match.
Mrs. Scratchit, I suspect that to be a lie of sorts.
No!
Oh, but it's Christmas Eve, so here, take £10.
So you don't want all the matches then? There's 17 of them.
Mrs. Scratchit, you have the body of a weak woman, but the mind of a criminal genius. Here, £17 then.
Lovely!
He gets visited by the ghost of Christmas Hagrid and is shown visions of his ancestors, but as he sees them clawing their way to power and gaining riches he'd never dream of, he learns the wrong lesson completely.
The rewards of virtue are largely spiritual, but all the better for it.
You don't think it points the very clear lesson that bad guys have all the fun?
And so he becomes as bad a friend, as bad a master, and as bad a man as the good old city ever knew.
What's interesting is that we enjoy the prose and dialogue from Dickens' writing, but this is a reversal of that story, so it's kind of impossible to work it into the show and have it make any sense. But the use of language that we do get is still very fun to listen to, almost as if Dickens himself might have written it.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, when you were out there was this enormous ghostly creature coming here saying, "Beware, for tonight you shall receive a strange and terrible visitation." I just thought I'd mention it. It come through the wall, it said its piece, and then it sodded off.
Got him with my subtle plan.
I can't see any subtle plan.
Ulrich, you wouldn't see a subtle plan if it painted itself purple and danced naked on top of a harpsichord, singing "Subtle plans are here again."
We get a Christmas treat now. Yes, indeed you do.
What is it?
It's a door in the face. Here you are.
Oh, Mr. B, you can't send them out into the world with nothing but a small pudding.
Ah, how right you are, Baldric. Door. Thank you.
We're not going to spoil the ending for you, but it's hilarious. If you haven't seen this one, you're seriously missing out.
And now it's time to wrap things up by talking about our dad's favorite Christmas movie of all time, A Child's Christmas in Wales. It's ironic that a third of his favorite movies are based on one of the most celebrated narratives ever written, but his all-around favorite movie is another one that doesn't really have any kind of story. Marcus Brody from Indiana Jones is telling his grandson about what Christmas was like when he was a boy, and that's pretty much it. There's no conflict or villain, there's nothing that might cancel Christmas, there aren't any character arcs to speak of. Nothing happens in this movie, but that doesn't matter. Like how Dickens was able to turn a phrase like the master that he was, this is another movie that you don't watch as much as it is one that you listen to.
When Christmas was so much like another in those years around the sea town corner, now and out of all sound, except the distant speaking of the voices I sometimes hear a moment before sleep, that I can never remember whether it snowed for 6 days and 6 nights when I was 12, or whether it snowed for 12 days and 12 nights when I was 6. All the Christmases roll down towards the Welsh-speaking sea, like a snowball growing whiter and bigger and rounder, like a cold and headlong moon bundling down the sky that was our street. And they stop at the rim of the ice-edged, fish-freezing waves, and I plunge my hands in the snow and bring out whatever I can find. Holly or robins or pudding, squabbles and carols and oranges and tin whistles and fire in the front room and bang go the crackers and holy, holy, holy ring the bells. On Christmas Eve, milk and biscuits waiting by the fire, I would hang at the foot of my bed Bessie Bunter's black stocking, and always, I said, I would stay awake all the moonlit night to hear the roof alighting reindeer and see the hollowed boot descend through soot. But soon the sand of the snow drifted into my eyes, and though I stared toward the fireplace and around the flickering room where the black sack-like stocking hung, I was asleep before the chimney trembled and the room was red and white with Christmas.
You'll never be so captivated by absolutely nothing in your entire lives.
If I may, I want to take a moment to talk about one of my favorite scenes. We all love how articulate and flowery the narration is, and that carries over into the description of Christmas dinner.
For dinner we had turkey stuffed with walnut dressing, little potatoes, and wine. Always wine. And when that was done, we had blazing pudding. And after dinner, the uncles sat in front of the fire, loosened all buttons, put their large, moist hands over their watch chains, groaned a little, and slept. Mothers, aunts, and sisters scuttled to and fro, bearing tureens. Auntie Bessie, who had already been frightened twice by a clockwork mouse, whimpered at the sideboard and had some elderberry wine.
And after all that, it wraps up with...
The dog was sick.
Just perfect.
And another one of our family's running gags.
So those were our dad's favorite Christmas movies. It's gonna be strange to enjoy them and celebrate Christmas without him, but as long as we keep him in our hearts, then he'll always be here. Always remember to tell those that you love and cherish that you love them, because you never know when your last chance is going to be. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
And be sure to have plenty of sweat socks on hand.
Excellent point. See you later.
When the mountain touches the valley, all the clouds are taught to fly. Thus our souls shall leave this land most peacefully. Though our minds be filled with questions, in our hearts we'll understand when the river meets the sea. Patience, my brothers, that sweet and final hour, truth and justice will be done. Like a baby when it is sleeping in its loving mother's arms. What a newborn baby dreams is a mystery. A mystery. But his life will find a purpose, and in time he'll understand when the river meets the sea. When the river meets the almighty sea.
And always make sure to have plenty of sweat socks on
Always
hand.
make sure to have plenty of sweat socks on hand.
Excellent.
Yeah, except with not that face.
I mean,
We are happy. We are.
is that happy? Because for me,
Yes.
I'm like, that's an ass-burning story, in my opinion. Like,
You eat them slow and it's fine.
It's Christmas ass
I eat
burning.
them
It's fine.
slow, but if I eat 20 of them, it's not fine.
So don't eat 20 of them.
No.
And always make sure to have plenty of sweat socks on hand.
Happy holiday! Oh, shit.
You're the worst.
I'm the best. You shut up.
Why did we give her a drink?
It's Martinelli's.
You're drunk on Martinelli's. Wow.
All right, Bob. So from now on, all of your shows have to close with "It's Martinelli's."
Martinelli's.
Barry wins the French award.
You're pretending to be excited.
How are you in this family?
It's okay.
I am 36, and it is past 9. Or almost 9. That means bedtime now.
Oh,
This is where we're having all sorts of really serious emotional development stuff because we're trying to record your show.
I lost my dad!
It's
sad and illiterate.
Wow, Dad really failed you.
I know. I was just gonna say, Dad.
He left too soon.
Dad is so pissed right now. Oh man.
I'm not doing this.
Barry has a line on this one.
No!
She does.
No!
Why do you do this?
Because Raven was feeling that you were a bit underrepresented.
Underrepresented in the story.
Bitch. No.
I thought of that.
You okay?
Yes.
Oh, you split.
Just a little bit. Just a little spill.
Party foul.
Party
I
foul.
thought you were gonna barf.
Mom's gonna get.
You were like, oh.
No, I just I felt water drip on
Yeah,
my
no,
ear.
I just saw you.
Okay.
Carnival! Bob knows what.
We all knew it right away. The little.
Okay, all right. It's ironic that Dad absolutely could not stand Frosty the Snowman, but he loved with a passion Hanky the Christmas Pooh. Mr. Hanky. You're a Mr. Hanky.
You're Mr. Hanky. You're a towel.
You're a towel.
Just shove it in between two tortillas. Wow. Yeah, sorry.
Those are tortillas.
Those are tortillas. Damn you, Bob.
Wow. Please tell me you're including Mrs. Piggy's. It does.
It does.
For something. It's got to be in there somewhere.
I will find a way to squeeze it in.
You should find a way to squeeze it
Speaking
in.
of squeezing it in. And that's on the blooper reel because we were all way too perfect on that.
Remember, this is a happy holidays. We are pretending like we're not, like we're functional people.
This is the blooper reel, and we're being honest.